Welcome to Grimm Gals, where we talk about death, grief, gore.
And how we deal with it.
I'm Abby Ballin,
I'm Valeria Nanetti.
and let's get into it. All right, I'm in a decent mood today.
Wow, what? What's happening? What's been happening with you?
I was in a shitty mood all morning, and then I did an interview. So I basically warmed up. I got a little warm up in before.
Okay.
And so now I'm like, oh, I feel like I could be like loosey goosey, silly willy. Normally I'm just coming in. It's Mondays.
Right.
We don't always record on Mondays, but we usually record on
on a Thursday,
whatever
Wednesday.
days when we're exhausted.
Yeah. I feel great. I mean, I feel pumped right now.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to this today.
Yeah. And your hair is pumped. Your hair's voluminous, Valariously voluminous.
Thank you.
All right, let's stop hitting on each other and let's get
Okay.
into some topics. I was trying to count. I think this is episode 7.
Wow, really? Dude, it went like fast. All I remember is like the other episode with Diane. That's all I remember.
Dude, they're stacking. They're getting thick.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit like, oh shit.
This is perfect.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
really going fabulously. Hopefully you guys think so too.
Yeah. The merch is going to drop soon, bitches. So
I did. Oh yeah, definitely the merch is going to help because I went live earlier and one person.
only one person was
Only one
watching.
person. But honestly, we
Yeah.
have only like 100 and something followers on that page that like were from an old profile
Right.
anyway. So half of them probably, who knows if they're even on Instagram
Yeah.
or anything.
I think maybe we should go live in our own accounts.
Yeah, and can we? Yeah, and then maybe merge it. That would be a smarter idea because even when I go, I have on my comedy page, I probably have 4,000+ followers, and even when I go live, like I'm happy if I get 20 people in there.
Yeah. I mean, when I go live, it's like at first it's like 7 people. Then I actually never go live. I can't even tell you any input on it. I should go more live. Yeah, it's a good idea.
I just was waiting for you, and also I feel like for this kind of thing, going live makes sense. We're talking about death. Let's go live.
Should we go live now or no?
We can if we wanted to.
Maybe Jackie's episode. We'll go.
Cute. The thing that worries me about going live while recording our episode is we might talk too much to the Instagram, and then that might ruin our episode. So
You're right. Let's table that.
We'll table it. We'll think about
Table
it. All right. So I just got back from Minnesota.
Okay. Tell me more about this. You told me a little bit about this.
Yeah. So I mean, you also came back from a trip. We have. So I was telling you this the other day. I was like, we started the show because not enough people talk about these topics, the heavy topics, the dark, the death. People don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And I just thought it was because it's not super sexy. However, now that we started this podcast, we're going on a couple months now. I feel like death is like
Looming,
trailing me, following me. The Grim Reaper shadow is like hugging me. It's like all up on me. And I already felt like I had a lot of death stuff
piling
connected to me for forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. And I don't know if it's just because I'm paying more attention to it because of the show, or if because now we open that door, they're like, oh.
Right. I know you did say that was like an urban legend. Like now we've unleashed the death onto us. But I did point out to you that psychology makes you like notice death more, even though like it's crazy how we had events that kind of matched each other. Like, I went to Peru to deal with my dad's ashes that I haven't dealt with in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. You told me about your dealings with the ashes recently.
Yeah. So when you were in Peru going to deal with your father's ashes, my brother's mother, so not like everyone's like, oh, your stepmom or whatever, and I'm like, no, I'm the second family. My dad was married before, so my dad's first wife, my brother's mother, passed away, and not super sad for me, not because I wasn't like knowing of her, but more just like I have a different understanding of death. So this woman had diabetes. She had been in and out of surgeries for years. So, and she was 84. So she had lived a decent life. And so I kind of calculate how sad is this based off of what was the suffering, how long of a life did they leave, and are they ready? Right. Now, I'm not 100% sure she was ready because I do think like her mind was pretty good, but her body was kind of going. So that part was sad. And also just sad by comparison. Like my brother's lost their mom. Like, this is a person that my brother talked to every day. It's their mom. Like, it's
losing a mom for some reason is I mean, some kind of worse than losing your dad in a way. I mean, do you agree or disagree?
It depends. I think everyone's relationship, like, I know for my sister, she's a daddy's girl. She's so close to my father. It's going to hurt. Like, they're both going to hurt, but that's going to hurt her hard. I was a mommy's girl. So I'm going to like it's going to hit, you know, but I think no matter what, losing a parent, losing anyone who's close to you, who's like supposed to be in your life, who you got used to being in your life, that you rely on for emotional support, for anything. It's going to hurt.
And what's crazy about losing a parent specifically is that they're truly, I mean, I can't say it's across the board, but like maybe like 90% of the time, they're like the only people who truly, really care about you. If you really think about it, like they're really going to be there for you. I mean, because they're your mom and your dad. I mean, again, I can't say that for all parents, but most of the time, your mom and your dad are the only people that truly are going to really care about you. Like, you can always go home and like hopefully expect like someone to maybe make you dinner. Maybe you can dig through their fridge. You could just go in their house, feel kind of like you're chilling. You can't do that with anyone, really.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I have such a different connection to family. And like, because I do feel like I have people that are not blood relatives that like I feel a familyness too.
Same here, obviously.
So I do think people can have that outside of family. And I also know people whose parents are not the person that they go to for support and all that stuff. So I think it just depends. But in general, usually very true. And one of the reasons why it hurts so bad. So while you were in Peru dealing with your dad, I was dealing with my brother's mother. Wow. And the interesting thing that happened when I went there, because I went there to support my brothers, but also their daughters. I have nieces that were going to deal with this. And this was kind of, at least for one of my nieces, I felt like kind of her first experience with death with someone that they knew that was dying. And they're, you know, they're young adolescents. They're not kids. Like one of my nieces I just married my niece, you know, like she, I mean, I didn't marry my niece, but I
married her niece to someone else.
Yeah, I officiated the wedding. It's not, although my family sounds a little, you know, it wasn't that. So they're young adults, but still, like, it's kind of a first death, as we talked about. Like, sometimes it is a grandparent. In this case, it was. So, and I knew my brothers just weren't gonna know what to do. They were dealing with their own grief. And also, let's just face it, they're from a generation of men. My brothers are like 60-year-old men. They didn't grow up in a generation of knowing how to deal with emotions. And like, they grew up in like a be strong, be tough, whatever. And so I knew that they weren't going to really know what to do. So, and because I'm so experienced and affluent with grief and loss and funerals and all this stuff, I'm like,
I feel like that's your future right now. Like when honestly, you're older, like a death keeper, like you just guide people into death.
Hospice is in my future.
I've always wanted to do. I wanted to volunteer in a hospice. I just want to volunteer and just be around that, just to kind of humble myself a little bit. You know, just kind of. Maybe we could do that.
Yeah, we probably should. Definitely. I think that would be interesting for this and good for us. And it's hard. I have friends that have done it, and it's hard. But I think I could probably handle it because I've just dealt with it so much. But anyway, go there. Go to St. Augustine. I drive 4.5 hours, 5 hours actually, because traffic.
Really? That's not bad, actually. I thought it was like 7 hours. All right, whatever.
No, it should take like 4 something, but it took me 5 hours, which isn't nothing. You know, it's still a drive, especially because I was going to do it in a day, like go up and go back, which I'm glad I didn't. But I get there and nothing's really organized for her. The ashes are with her husband because she was remarried. So it's my brother's stepdad, and he wasn't ready to let him go. And I did feel like it was a little soon because she had only passed a month before. And so in my experience, most people don't release the ashes that quickly. But at the same time, I'm like, they've been preparing for this death. Maybe they will. They were not ready. And my nieces were so upset, not that it wasn't happening, but they didn't feel like anything was happening for her. Like there was no ceremony, there was no funeral. And they were like, why the hell do we even come here, get all together on her birthday? We did it on her birthday. And nothing's getting done. And everyone's kind of just fighting and arguing. And I looked at it and I just was like, this is twofold. One, have daughters, don't have sons. Because girls get shit done, boys don't do it. Like if you have sons, like unless they have wives who are gonna, which both my brothers are divorced and don't have, like they don't have a woman who's like rearing them to do this stuff. No offense. I hope there are men out there that are doing right by their mothers, but a lot of them like need help in these
they
situations.
need help in all places, actually. Like, like I feel like I mean, I can't say this like straight off, but like I feel like if a man doesn't have a woman next to her, they'll just go their whole lives never going to the dentist, dermatologist, nothing. I mean, I've been pushing. This is a PCA kind of PSA. Like, everyone get a colonoscopy, okay, at 40. I'm serious. I'm going to get a colonoscopy at 40. Like, I mean, this is important. Like, okay, let me just, like, I'm backtracking a little bit. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, everyone's just, like, trying to live, but.
So they didn't do anything for their mother. And then at the same time, really sadly, I felt like it was actually poetic for her life because she was born in the 30s. She grew up in a time where women didn't really have voice or say. They did whatever the man, and she was first married to my father, who's a very tough, old school misogynist man who was not easy to be married to. Oof. And she had to deal with him, who's it's his way or the highway. So that was her first marriage. Who then married another guy who was also just like dragged her along to do what he wanted to do. And it was that's just normal. That was just kind of the times of like, you were a wife, do as you're told. And she very much lived that way. And then she lived a long life, and most of the men did at least take care of her. She didn't really work or anything. She was a wife and she got taken care of, and they were there. They were there till the end. But when it came down to like actually doing something for her afterwards, no one could get that shit together because like they're selfish. They're all, and that's just what she like kind of let her world be, was dictated by men. And in the end, no one did anything for her. And I'm like, oh God, like that broke my heart for her. Because I do think that she was a sweet woman. She might not have been like the strongest or the smartest, but she was a good-hearted person. And I do believe we will do something with the ashes, and I do think I'll make sure we'll make a point of doing something, because she does have granddaughters. There are some connection to women in her world. Right. But it just makes me sad of thinking about like, in the end, who's going to have your back? Who's going to be the person who's going to like give your life away and celebrate it and close that chapter that before you go on to wherever you go on, like who's gonna do you right here?
That's what she said. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I love it.
Sorry. No. But it's crazy how that was your experience, because I was on the other side of like what you were hoping would happen. I was on the other side of that. Like, my dad, we cremated him back in 2020, like in May of 2020, during the pandemic where everything was nuts, right? And no one could get to Peru to, like, deal with his ashes for this long. It took 3 years for someone to get there, and I got there, And when I got there, my cousin, who was my dad's brother's daughter, she was kind of taking care of everything there because she lived there, right? Because she was doing her dentistry stuff. And she was moving around different places, and the people she was living with, they were kind of like, yeah, we don't want your uncle's ashes in the house. So she had to leave my dad's ashes in the billiard where he used to, which was the family's billiard, which we love and he loved very much. And they had abandoned the billiard because, things happen, money, the pandemic. So when we got there, it was just kind of like, it kind of like stressed me out a little bit to see what my dad's living conditions were and where he was. He was just there, his ashes. And, I actually decided to open up the box thing, the little thing it came in, and get rid of the ashes. And I had no idea the ashes were actually white. You know that?
Yeah, they're like a grayish, whitish.
No, my dad's were cream colored. It was like very...
Well, I guess it depends.
Yeah, but it was just kind of creepy because I'm like, why is it white? And I'm like, oh my God, these are his bones that I'm like, oh my God, right? And then... thank goodness I have people to help me, and I was there like kind of because it was there for a while, so humidity made it like kind of hard. So I had to get like a spoon and kind of like, and I was like, oh my God, this is what's left of my dad right now. Like, it was kind of creeping me out. Because I'm like, this is him. He was a living person.
I don't know.
You always laugh.
It's not funny.
What did I say? I made you laugh.
Nothing you said. It's just the image of you scooping
I
with a spoon. I'm just like,
it's so fucked up. I know. I was like scooping it out because we didn't have anything else. We were like in an abandoned like billiard, you know? And I was just like, this is what it's come to, everyone. And I was with like my cousin, her boyfriend, who was very kind to be there. And then an old family friend. And we're just like scooping my dad's ashes. And I'm like,
where did you put them?
So I had like a moment of like, I was very like torn because my mom wanted me to like kind of disperse his ashes in different places around Peru. Now, I never really been around Lima, Peru too much. But it's a very beautiful town, but it's like a little like, imagine New York, but like third world New York. That's kind of like what Peru is, except obviously in a third world country, you know?
Right.
Imagine New York in California and third world country. That's kind of how Peru is.
Well, I've been to Panama, and Panama City.
Panama
City reminds me of like, maybe not third world, maybe second world.
Second world, yeah. They're very second world. And so I went to the places that my mom wanted to disperse the ashes. And it wasn't like a place, because it was a lot of ashes, first of all. And it was so obvious wherever we put it. So it was like I had to like sprinkle stuff here and there. And then I was very torn because I was like, am I going to leave the rest of the ashes in the church somewhere? But then I freaked out because my mom said that my dad wouldn't want to be stuck in a little box. So at the end, I was like, let's go. We went to a really beautiful park in Peru, and I had to like kind of grab the fucking ash thing that's in a ceramic box and kind of like just like pour it out, and people were walking by, and I had to do it really fast because like, you know, I don't think you're supposed to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about in Peru, but yeah, it's illegal.
It's kind of legal. So you kind of have to do it with that. I was putting it in bushes where no one would be around, but. And then in I was walking around, and I walked around like a rose patch, and I actually cut myself really bad on the thorns. And then I was like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like this, you know, and it was there for a few days. And it was just a really weird experience. I'm very happy I was there with like a family friend, my cousin and her boyfriend. Because the whole experience was weird. Like, can you imagine like you being there with me, and we're over there hanging out and scooping my dad's ashes with the spoon? Like, it was just.
So it's interesting that you had other people there for you for that, because like that's where I don't like. I would rather.
I was very
do stuff.
happy about that. It wasn't supposed to be that way, by the way. It was supposed to be kind of a secret. Like my mom didn't really want my dad's family to kind of know. I don't know why. And then I, by accident, forwarded her the WhatsApp message of my mom telling me shit, and I'm like, "Oops, that wasn't." And she was like, "Don't worry, I got you." And she was like, "I want to be there." I'm like, "Oh, thank God!" And thank God they were there, because we were gonna do it with one of my dad's old friends. And I was like, I'm so happy she was there with me. And it was interesting. You know, we did something for my dad. You know, we cremated him a long time ago. We gave him a little something, but it's just weird. You know,
there's no right or wrong in these things. And only you can know if it was the right thing to do. And sometimes it's not always. Sometimes you're like, do it, and you're like, whoops. But
yeah, I mean, I brought some of it back with me, actually. I brought like a little box back because my mom wanted some of it. My mom was like, I don't want the whole thing. Like, it was like this big box.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then I realized that it was way more than that, because that was just a part of the ashes. So there's like way more ashes. I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Ugh. You know, it's just like, I'm touching my dad's ashes. I
feel like I could talk about, I know so much. So funny thing is, I ended up when I went to Minnesota. I went to Minnesota because
it was a few weeks later after this whole situation with the ashes, right?
Yeah, so we were dealing with ashes, or I was supposed to be dealing with ashes.
Yeah, around the same time, which is insane because you weren't expecting that, right?
Wasn't expecting. Didn't know my brother's mother was gonna die.
She died the weekend I went to Peru.
She died. No, she died before, but I didn't know her wishes. I didn't know she was gonna get cremated. I didn't know anything.
Right, you didn't tell me anything. I
wasn't expecting it. And then all of a sudden they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go for Mom's birthday and release the ashes." And I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta."
And that was like a week after I came back, right? Something like that.
September 6th.
Yeah.
It was the day we were releasing our first episode.
Oh, yes.
Grimm
And I just got back from Peru. I came back right after Labor Day weekend.
I was like, this is so weird, because we had set this date before she had died.
And that got you feeling a little bit suspicious. I kind of like, am I opening the door to some shit? Which got me scared. I'm like, no. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but keep going.
So then I go to Minnesota because my mom's from Minnesota. She still has her childhood home. I spent every summer growing up there, going there, which is super fortunate, amazing that we were able to do it. It's in this tiny 1,000-person town in the middle of nowhere, cornfield land.
I would love to have gone there too, but.
And it was amazing because it was like I got to like flash back in time every summer coming from New York, going to Minnesota, because my grandparents' house is from the 1950s and it literally didn't change. Like still had the rotary phones, all the furniture, all the wallpaper, all the everything. It was a time warp. And the town was like a time warp, at least for us, because my mom had all of her best friends and they all had kids. So like we were friends with her best friends' kids. And it felt very much like the movie, like Now and Then. Like we all rode our bikes. We like had crabapple tree fights, like innocent fun that didn't.
Movie.
I know, innocent fun that just never happened, and I got to have that. And it's such a gift. And we still had the house because it was paid. My grandparents paid it off, and so it really wasn't a lot to keep the house. So we kept the house, and it kind of turned into my family's storage unit. Like anytime somebody moved and wanted, and my mom's a hoarder, so she didn't want to get rid of anything. So it just was less like, and the house had like a basement and an attic. Like there was a lot of places to put stuff. So my mom, as I've said before, has dementia, and I took her last summer to there, and it was a disaster. It was beautiful, but it was a disaster. And I knew that was probably the last time I was going to go there with her, sadly, because travel, change of scenery, it's just not good for her. And I'm really happy that I was able to do that with her, but we couldn't do it again. And the house, if my mom's not going there, I'm like, how often are me and my sister going to go there? Like, it's just going to go to waste. And we already haven't been, in the last 10 years, we barely have gone. We've gone maybe 4 or 5 times. So I'm like, it's time for someone else to live in this house and like treat it right. However, we had like, it sold like that. And we had basically like, we had 3 weeks. Go get everything you could want from your entire childhood, your mother's entire childhood, your grandparents' entire anything of my family is in that house. Right. And I'm like, I have to like, I only have these like 2 days, to go do this. So me and my sister went. There's definitely so much stuff we weren't able to get out. I hate that. So sad, but at the same time, it's like it's another let go. Like you gotta let it go. It's another like
that's the whole conversation itself. Like material things. I felt the same way when I see my dad. I saw where my dad was living. Yeah. Which was for him. I get it. He loved it. But me and my cousin were like, I can't believe it. And all his stuff was there, and I just wanted to take all his stuff. But I'm like, what am I gonna do with all this like old clothes? Like really, like.
Did you take something?
I took some stuff, yeah, of course. I took some things, and I saw a picture of me somewhere, and it's just like, I was like, oh my God. Like, I saw some stuff that he wrote, you know, and it's just this whole little vibe, and I'm like, he's gone. Like, it's just like.
Did you take pictures?
I took pictures. I tried to take video of his room. I took some pictures, but you know what? I didn't take pictures of his room, but because my cousin said, oh, I got video. Don't worry, I'll send you. But she never sent them to me, and now I'm freaking out. I should have taken more pictures. But, yeah, like, it was a lot.
It's
you know?
So much.
It's so much stuff. But these things, you know, like.
And it's like, how do you know what to keep, what to let go of, what to leave behind? Like it was a lot. But in the process, ashes. My childhood dog's ashes ended up in that house.
Oh my God! Did you take them back?
No, because we actually got her in Minnesota. So we let her go in the backyard of that house, which was so beautiful. And it was like amazing because it was like we got her there. And then she lived in New York, but we got her there. The ashes ended up back in that house, and then we found them as we were closing this house. And I was like, oh my God, thank God we can free her. She's been trapped in a box inside of boxes all by herself, and we can free her. And so around that same crabapple tree that we used to play with kids. We let her ashes go.
Wow. And what color was it? I'm just curious.
Hers was like a whitish gray.
Okay.
And I've seen multiple ashes, so sometimes they are warmer tones and cooler tones, but they're all like a version of white with some, you know.
That's crazy.
But there was a lot, and same thing. It's been years. She's been dead for like 12 years or something like that. So they were almost like cement at this point, so we had to really like break it up.
Yeah, you know what? I want to go through my dad's stuff.
So we had to break it up, and I'm shaking it around the tree, and me and my sister, and we're just like crying and laughing because of course I'm like have to make a joke, and I'm like, who let the dogs out?
That's a good one.
And she did not find that funny. My sister
I would have been dying.
I was
there.
laughing. She didn't like it. So then I started singing
like
in the arms of the angels.
Oh, but that's not as funny.
I know, but the dog commercial. No, then because she wanted something sentimental.
Oh yeah, well,
she didn't want it to be
like
funny.
That. Oh, okay. Well, we know we wanted funny.
But I did Who Let the Dogs Out, which I think Maddie the dog would have loved. I think she would have found.
I'm all for the funny.
She would have. She would have found it funny.
Yeah.
But then I sang the Sarah McLachlan dog rescue commercial song, and it was very. She
liked that because she can cry now.
As I was doing it, there was a leaf from the tree that was in a perfect shape of a heart.
Aww.
It was just like a sign of like, this is right. However, I think I still have more dogs' ashes in those boxes. And I'm like, what's going to happen? I'm like devastated. I'm like, oh my God.
How can you not remember your dog's ashes, Abby?
Because they got shipped basically when they got rid of my parents' place in New York. All the stuff got packed up in boxes by movers and just shipped there.
I'm just so mad that you had this cool house in New York and like it was sold. I also know a friend who also their parents sold a house in New York. It sucks. I would love a house in New York right now.
Yeah, I would love a house, period. Right. But yeah, so I dealt with ashes just the other day. And the crazy thing was, as I'm doing the ashes, it's like blowing on me. And so like, she's like all over me. And I'm like, it's kind of beautiful, but it's also kind of like, those are my workout sneakers. So now when I work out, do I have like a little bit of the dog with me?
I feel like having dog ashes on you is better than having like your dad's ashes on you. Like,
yeah, well, the worst thing is that because we were getting rid of this house and like this is such a nosy small town, all the neighbors started coming and like lurking and like trying to get stuff because my mom has so much stuff.
Okay. Did you give some stuff away though?
Yeah, we gave a lot of stuff. And I was also like, can you fucking wait till like we literally are like
pulled up and they're like, hey,
we're grieving the loss of like the fact that we'll never come back to this,
which is really sad.
This house ever. That's like only my happy memories. They're only happy memories. I got my first period in that house. I got my first like.
What is it? Your summer house or I don't get.
We went there every summer.
Okay, but so you grew up in New York and Minnesota.
Well, for the month of August, I lived in every year of my life. For the month of August, sometimes July, I was in Minnesota. But
that's a nice upbringing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was beautiful. It was so fun. It was the best. But yeah, this freaking the ashes, and then the people came and we're trying to like dump these ashes, and they're like there. Like, I'm like, hey. I played with you one summer when we were 13. I don't know you that well. I get that you have a daughter and we have a lot of toys, and I want your daughter to have these toys.
What type of toys are they? Like, are they like ancient history toys? Like,
no. Well, yes. There's a lot of antique toys. My mom.
Oh, that could have been worth money.
Oh, there's so much stuff. My mom's best friend is going to try to sell some stuff and then give money to my mom for her health care. So, like, hopefully, and her best, like, they don't make friends like my mom had. Like,
I totally get that. Old school friends. My mom's the same way. When I went to Peru, I was hanging out with one of my mom's friends that met me when I was like a baby. I was an infant, and she hadn't seen me since. And then I came to her house. She like invited me in, cooked me breakfast every morning. They were super effing nice. And like my mom has these like super old school cool ass friends. And I'm like, how do you do it, Mom? Like even now it's hard for me to upkeep the friends I have now. And I feel awkward and weird. I'm like, what should I do? Like I'm super busy. You know what I mean?
So it was different back then because like nobody was as connected as they were. So like the fact that like if you got a letter once a year, that was a big deal. Now, like...
We watch each other's stories.
Yeah, but it's also like now if you don't call me, if you don't text me, we're like, fuck you. You have access to me all the time. And if you don't maintain that relationship, then how much do you really care about me? Where back in the day, access was so limited that like it was a treat to talk to each other. So you just held on to when you were in person. That was what meant something. Yeah. And you held on to that. And I also just think people had a different kind of respect and like just kind of like codes of relationships that like they held on to in a different way.
I just feel like back then, I feel like it's hard to find friends now. Like sometimes like you meet people, right, and they're like acquaintances, but then for a person to become a real friend, it's like a process, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's certain things. I think sometimes it's like an event can bring up closeness.
Yes, that's true.
So it's either like you grew up together and you just known this person forever, or like you went to war together.
Yeah.
You worked a job where you sat next to each other for years at a time. Like you have comedy, like a common interest where you see people every day and doing the same thing. Like there's something that's got to bring you together, the closeness to like really connect.
Well, that's funny because those two things you mentioned, like all of my old school childhood friends, I hardly talk or know any of them anymore. Like literally, I think I only know like one or two people when I was like 14, 15. The people I hung out with when I was like 7, 8. I don't know. I still have access to them, but it's just I feel weird reaching out. I don't know. It's weird.
It's funny because obviously my yearbooks ended up in this house.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm not bringing my yearbooks.
Why?
I'm not bringing them. But I took pictures. I just took pictures of like what people wrote me. Any page I was in the yearbook, I took a picture of the page. And then I was like, because it's shipping, man. It cost me over $400 just to ship 7 boxes.
That's not a bad price.
That were small boxes, like this big, like tiny boxes.
Oh, you couldn't fit in your car.
Minnesota's so far away.
Oh, my bad. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking driving. You're right. You're in a freaking plane. I apologize.
Yeah. So I checked bags, so I got stuff back, but it was like, it's just so expensive. Like, and that was like the bare minimum of what I could take.
I guess you could have gone. I mean, I guess if you had more time or money, you could have drove in there with like a moving truck and just.
And I'm annoyed at myself because I meant to do this last year when I knew like, oh, we're probably not going to have this house forever. I had meant to like go there because even the house, I never did a photo shoot. I'm a photographer. I've never done a photo shoot in that house.
What? You never took a photo? But you just taken photos?
Yeah. But I never,
you took a photo when you came there. Did you like document the house as it was? I love doing that. I used to do that because I'm a photographer too, amateur, not like you. But I take pictures of things. I love taking pictures of like the settings and how things are. I did that for one of my friends for their grandpa when he passed away. I just took a picture of his whole entire house, like very details of the whole house for memories.
So I did, however, because we were going through everything, it was a mess.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like there was just boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes. So it wasn't
I wish I was there to like document the whole thing for you. I would have been like the videographer of like the whole process.
I don't know if I wanted to document. Like it was a mess. Like just the living room. Yeah. So that was the other thing. Is like, I get why I'm a photographer. Majority of that house was photos. Like, holy shit. Yeah. There was a whole roll of film that my dad or my mom took of just a dog. One dog, an entire roll of film. I was just like, how wasted were you? Do you know how expensive that was just to take a picture of one dog? Like,
well, I mean, back then a picture was worth $1 million pieces, or $1 million or whatever, 1 million words, whatever they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they should have savored and take a couple pictures of the dog, but take a couple pictures of other things. Like it was just gluttonous, like the amount of photos that they took. And there were so many photos. We found, so this is the funny thing is like a lot of people like are always kind of like thinking like I'm risque, especially in my family. They're like, oh, Abby's the wild one. Like Abby never has clothes on. Like Abby is, like doing comedy and like out late all the time. She's probably a lesbian, like whatever. This is what my family says. Meanwhile, then we get to look through all these photos and what do we find? My dad's naked with my mom's best friends in a bed. My mom probably took the photo. Then my mom's naked with her best friend with me in a bathtub drinking champagne, documented. Like I'm just like,
that sounds like a good time.
No, my house was a party house. Like I grew up in a full blown like orgy party house. And I'm like, well, how do you not expect me?
You sound like you came out exactly like them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you guys are acting like I'm the crazy one where I'm like, it's weird if I didn't end up like this.
Yeah.
And the best part is my mom's best friends were helping us. So we were like with my mom's best friends helping and with the one who's like, I don't remember that night. No, she's like, I don't remember. Why am I naked? Why is he naked? Who took these photos?
You mean you were naked like breasts are out? Naked or like bikini?
Kid, but yeah, no, they were naked. And there's pictures of it. And they were and also they were fully clothed. My dad was dong out. Naked.
Dick out.
Dick and balls out.
Oh my God. In the bed with your
not even the bed. They were just standing like at like
maybe they were skinny dipping. White people do that stuff.
It was in the house. It was like
do you have a pool?
No, it was just like
that sounds like a good time. People in Minnesota is hanging out naked. Why don't we do that more often? We should do that.
These pictures are in New York when they came to visit my mom for her 40th birthday and then her 50th birthday, I think.
Wow, they got lit.
No, but she doesn't even remember it. That's a funny thing.
They were lit.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like it's
That's
hilarious.
actually a great time. I wouldn't mind like hanging out and just getting naked just cause. I mean, think about it. We're all gonna die anyway, and once we're getting older, it doesn't really matter. Like, let's get naked.
Yeah, well, my dad was always naked. All my friends.
Oh my god,
my dad was always
weird.
naked.
It's weird when men are naked. I mean, they could be like topless, but something about just balls and dick hanging out.
I saw so much balls growing up, and I feel like
so
that's why
weird.
I'm this way. And people like don't understand, but there was just so much balls. And
oh god,
all my friends, almost all my childhood friends, their first dick they saw was my dad's.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
And it's not because he did anything. It's not because he did anything. It's just that he was naked all the time. He was just always naked. And so like literally,
it would be so awkward if I came over your house and your dad just walked around balls and dick out. I'd be like,
he still does, and he's old as fuck now.
That's so weird. I mean,
but now also his balls are so saggy. They
ew!
just come out.
You can just see them. You can see them.
Oh my
like,
god, he'll be sitting and they're falling out of his shorts.
I can't. I would never.
So long.
You mean this?
Like they're
Stop.
hanging. They're hanging.
I can't.
The
Is he tall? Like, is that all men?
I don't know, but he had huge balls always. And yeah, he was 6 feet. He's probably like 5.
You know what's funny you
now.
say that? Yeah, guys' balls are different sizes now that you mention it. Like,
yeah, some are just like
there's big balls, some are tiny balls.
So when I said that his balls are hanging this low, about this much of it
it's
is
just
skin.
Scrotum, yeah.
That skin that, and then there's the
balls.
And
yeah, but some guys have like, okay, it's not like I've seen too many balls in my life, but I've seen a couple balls in my life.
I've seen a lot of balls.
Not that many, okay? I haven't seen that many balls specifically. But like, I remember... Okay, we're going. This is kind of trailing away, but there is guys that have huge balls. You know, if you have huge balls, go ahead and comment in the section because we want to know.
So our next guest is here, so that's why I was checking my phone.
Right.
So we're probably gonna need to wrap this up, but this is why
this is a great way to wrap it up.
But when you were the balls,
we started from like a serious conversation about whatever. What is it called? Ashes. All the way to who has gigantic balls. Comment in the comment section. We want to know.
Do you love big balls?
I don't know if I do. I care more about the dick being not huge, but like a nice size. But I don't really care for the balls too much.
I love the balls.
Really? Are you a ball girl?
I love balls. I love them, and I love them when they're big and juicy. I want to put my face in it.
And be like, they're like their dicks.
Balls.
I mean, sorry, they're like their breasts. A man's balls is their breasts.
Maybe.
I don't know about balls. I maybe got into balls now. I'm not really huge on balls.
I don't know why I love them, but I really do.
You're just a ball queen.
I think they're fun. I think
they're
fun to play with.
You want to just have them right here, like hanging out.
Yeah, I like that. They're like they're so fun to play with. They're almost more fun to play with than a dick.
Really? I can see that. They're like more like
Yeah.
And I heard that men love it when you play with their balls. Mm-hmm. There are a lot. People don't really talk about balls too much. Actually, it's all about the dick all the time.
It's all about the dick. Yeah.
Yeah. Balls need some love.
Balls do need some love.
I guess.
Coming to you live on Grimm Gals. Balls need love.
Campaign 2023.
All right, but balls. I love that you were so worried about this episode. I'm like, we have so much to talk about. Just ashes. Yeah. Like, I have more ash stories. Like,
really? My only
ashes.
ash story is my dad's ash stories. It was my first experience with ashes, and like I told you, I was scooping it out, and I was like, this is a really weird moment. Mm-hmm. Like, did I ever have? I can't imagine the day that came that my dad died, and here I am scooping you out of a ceramic box.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah, no, it is until you. See
I was very stressed, but at the time I didn't feel stressed. But later I was like. But I'm glad, like you said, like, how your sister wanted you to, like, sing a sentimental song and you made a joke. I'm all about keeping things jokey, because if I go too deep, I get really deep. It's too deep almost, so.
Yeah, and you shallow bitch. This has been Grimm Gals. See you next time.
Maybe.